I'm so sick of the media and all of their. I'm sorry if I come across I don't like mainstream media, but I really don't like them. I think they're. You have to watch this movie, Jake Gyllenhaal, and it's called The Night Crawler, and he plays a reporter. And if you watch that movie, it used to be on Netflix, it might still be, you'll get a good idea for what journalists are like. They're snakes, and they'll say anything for a story. So instead of listening to that asshole Lester Holt go on about all his bullshit and lies, even President Trump says it's fake news. And I know President Trump is full of shit. He's a fat fuck, anyways. But he does get it right. The mainstream news media, the journalists have no integrity whatsoever. So they're just as bad as politicians. Drain the swamp, Donald. Take you and all those reporters and all those senators and congressmen and drain the swamp, and then it's gonna. Where's the swamp water gonna go? Anyway, this is another episode of Be Your Own Santa. Where did that come from? Well, I used to sell cars, and that was the event, the weekly event, because everyone knows there's no real Santa. So I mean, you're gonna have to buy your own car. So buy your own car, put a big red ribbon under it, and be your own Santa. Make your own news. So I'm going to be the reporter, and I'm going to give you, first of all, Cuban news. Okay, the news from Cuba is pretty much the old story, and that is Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau is the son of former Cuban dictator Fidel Castro. Don't believe it? Just go look it up. Go look. I don't know. Just look on the internet and put in Fidel Castro is Justin Trudeau's father. Go look it up, and you'll see the pictures of the two of them together, because there's all kinds of these pictures, and they sure look alike. Now, if you go to the back pages of the internet, which means it might not come up on your first page on Google, you might have to go search on, I don't know, Yahoo or Ecosia or DuckDuckDuck or something, and keep looking, look hard. You got to use more research skills than the first page. But go look into the Jesuit, 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 which is a branch of the Roman Catholic Church. Go and look into Pierre Trudeau, former Canadian Prime Minister, father of Justin Trudeau, current Prime Minister. So just type in Jesuit, Pierre Trudeau, Fidel Castro. And the article that I found that, I'm pretty good at finding things on the internet, way better than most people, because I'm just old and crotchety, and I'm not satisfied with, a cursory look. I go looking deeply. I use all the search engines, and then I go to weird sites like Bibliotheca Pallades, or it used to be whale.to, but they kind of changed it, and now they've hidden whale.to. Used to be easy to find. Now they've made it hard to find, but I could still find it. And on these Rents is another one. Some of these weird websites that you think is too conspiracy. Never mind. And then you go look there, and you're going to find the articles that talk about how Pierre Trudeau and Fidel Castro had the same Jesuit priest growing up. The same Catholic priest was the same priest for both of those people. One was a president of Cuba, and one was the Prime Minister of Canada. And then tell me, after reading these articles, that there's not an elite conspiracy to rule the world by the elite. How'd they get to be the elite? Well, it leads you to the Vatican, doesn't it? The Vatican hand-picked Pierre Trudeau to be Prime Minister of Canada and hand-picked Fidel Castro to become dictator of Cuba. Pierre Trudeau was a Roman Catholic, and I guess Fidel Castro must have been, because Quebec province in Canada, the French province, used to be 100% Roman Catholic. In the 1970s in Quebec, they had what is known as the Quiet Revolution, where all of the people in Quebec, the French Canadians who were Roman Catholic, all of them walked away from the church. A complete revolution, the Quiet Revolution. They said to the Pope, stick it. Anyways, and everyone knows that Latin Americans are Roman Catholic. So that's the power of the Vatican for you. What else do we want to talk about when it comes to Cuban news? NBC News reported that when Americans that were serving in the ambassador's service, I don't know if they had a full ambassador in Cuba, but they had a kind of like an embassy in Havana, and the people there were getting very sick. And NBC News hinted at it, and elsewhere on the back pages of the internet, they said basically what was happening was the Cubans were using things like microwaves and other secret kinds of ray guns to make the Americans sick. What other kind of ray guns are there? Well, we know there's microwave weapons, sonic weapons, scalar wave weapons, which are not usually talked about, but if you look up scalar wave, you will find might have something to do with gravity. I'm not sure if they use tachyon waves. Tachyon are particles that go faster than the speed of light. I'm not sure if they were using chemtrail weapons, because I was reading today that chemtrails are not just barium and aluminum. They're also Morgellons particles, which are like a plastic webbing that's actually alive. This is getting more and more far-fetched, but it's Cuban news. And if they can make up bullshit like this and put it on the internet, I'm going to report it, damn it. Artificial webs that look like spider webs that get in your hair. Cuban news you can use. Cubans were known to send over doctors and soldiers to Africa to fight for communist causes. Angola, Mozambique, Namibia. Which tells you two things about Cubans. They're really smart because they produce an unbelievable number of doctors, and we're told the doctors are very good doctors, Cuban doctors. If you had to choose between a Jewish doctor in New York who prescribed nothing but pills, or a Cuban doctor, in Cuba they don't have anything but state manufactured pills, if it was up to me, I'd take the Cuban. And everyone knows, from All in the Family, Archie Bunker said, it wasn't about doctors, but it's basically the same thing. He needed a lawyer, an attorney. He said, get me a Jew, because he knew they make the best lawyers, and everyone else knows they make the best doctors. But in Cuba, I don't know how many, they probably do have a Jewish community there, probably. But get a Jewish Cuban doctor. It's going to be the best doctor on the island. Everyone knows that, okay, who are the smartest people on the planet? Chinese and Jewish people are the smartest humans on the planet. Why is, I don't know. I don't know, but everyone knows that if you're going to find children who are gifted children, they're going to either be Chinese or Jewish. I don't know what it is. I think it's because their parents make the children, they push the children harder. I don't believe in pushing children too much because, I mean, shouldn't you have a childhood? Nevertheless, you know, who plays violin these days? Chinese children and Jewish children, and it looks like a hard thing to do. White children, we don't play violins. No. It looks like a hard thing to do. And the Chinese and the Jewish children are really good at it. What does that tell you? They apply themselves. In other words, they get their practice and they do their practice every day. They're very talented. They take on very challenging things. And perhaps there's perhaps they have people in their families that are very inspirational. You know, like if your father was a slob, it's quite likely you're going to be a slob. But, you know, if your father is Chinese or Jewish, you ever heard of a Jewish slob? No. A Chinese slob? No. Yes, we did. Actually, we did. Before the Beijing Olympics, they said there were Chinese men, middle-aged men with big pot bellies, who in the hot Chinese summer sun didn't wear a shirt. So the Chinese government said, you have to wear shirts. We're going to have the Olympics. At least you have to put a shirt on over your fat belly. So they were slobs. I don't know what else to tell you. What else are Cubans known for? They're known for cigars. Everyone in the Caribbean is known for making rum. So I don't think they make the best rum. But apparently they make the best cigars. Which means they must grow tobacco. Two kinds. The kind for the inside of the cigar and then the wrapper. What else are Cubans known for? They're supposed to have very nice beaches at Veradero. Havana, Cuba is known for hookers. Cheap hookers. What else do we know about Cubans? Well, they used to be really good friends with the Russians when they were all communist. Cuba and Russia were best friends, and I don't know about communist China and Cuba. And strangely enough, I mean, if you think back to the Vietnam War, which was South Vietnam and the Americans versus the communists, North Vietnamese, who were supplied by the communist Chinese, we never heard about the Cubans being there. What else do we know about Cubans? They make really good magicians. Cubans are really good magicians. They make great kind of magic. Do they do? All kinds of magic. They'll take an old beat-up car from the 1950s, and 70 years later, the car will look really cool, and they will have replaced the old Chevy engine from 1952 with a Mercedes-Benz engine. I think they use a lot of German car parts. So they have the old Chevy body, which is really cool, from the 1950s, and they paint it all very interesting colors. Not sure if they're pastel colors, but they put, hot rods underneath. I mean, that's not really magic. What kind of magic do they do? The government pretends to pay the people, and the people pretend to work, which means it's a huge black market. So you think that Cuba is communist? No. Officially, it's communist, but everyone works on the black market, which is capitalist. And that's the same in China. Officially, China is communist, but I don't even know why they call it the Communist Party that runs it, because it's very capitalist. Everything is made there. They sell it for money, so it's capitalist. Nothing is as it seems, They call it the People's Republic of China, but it's not run for the people. It's run for the Communist Party. I suppose they're people, but they're not the people. Cuban news. Can you trust a Cuban if they're on TV giving you the news? Only if they're wearing a purple hat on a Friday, in which case 5 minutes of your half an hour of news is going to be the truth, and that's when they do the weather. They're going to tell you it's hot, it's humid, the water's 87 degrees, and it's good fishing weather.